Let's speak to Andrew Lebovich in Washington, a policy fellow with the European Council on Foreign Relations. Thank you for speaking to France 24. First of all, I guess it's a question everyone is asking. What more do we know about these Russian forces in Mali?
Well, the truth is that we don't know very much for right now. There have been a series of reports and rumors circulating for several months now about a possible deal with the Wagner Group. But we should also differentiate between the soldiers that have reportedly been deployed or the personnel that have been deployed to Timbuktu, which, according to the Malian government, are related to a deal to maintain and train personnel for helicopters that were sold to the Malian government. And this is a long-standing deal. And then there are other reports that have been a bit less confirmed about Wagner Group mercenaries being deployed in parts of central Mali and potentially even engaging in combat operations. So we do have to at least try to differentiate between some of these, but it's a very confused picture about who has actually been deployed, where they've been deployed, and even how many people or personnel have been deployed for right now.
Yeah, and it's very difficult to verify any of that information, as you were saying. Now, there has been anger in Mali about foreign involvement, notably with the former colonial power of France. How do you suspect Malians would be feeling about Russia's presence there?
Well, I think there's no homogeneous Malian opinion about these subjects, like on anything. Certainly, there's a vocal minority who have expressed support for a Russian deployment. With some accusations, of course, particularly from the French side, that these protests or that these groups are themselves supported by Russians or Russian interests. I think the irony, of course, of all of this is that, at least according to the terms of the deal that have been reported, or the potential deal reported between Mali and the Wagner Group, this deal would supposedly entail the direct extraction of mineral resources from Mali, which is, of course, what the Wagner Group has done in other countries, but is an accusation that many in Mali have leveled against French forces for some time, that they're actually in Mali to supervise the extraction of resources. So there is a bit of an irony here, but I don't think there's any uniformity of opinion, and we'll have to see what actually comes out of these various potential Russian deployments, if anything.
And what do you think this means for European strategy and influence in Africa?
Well, it puts the EU and it puts EU partner states or EU member states in a bit of a difficult situation because they took a very aggressive stand against the deployment of the Wagner Group, in particular to Mali. And so, of course, if they continue to operate as they've indicated they will in Mali, potentially not alongside Russian forces, but in the same country, operating with the same partners, the Malian armed forces, then it does call into question, I think, why they took such an aggressive stand and what that actually means for their willingness to follow through on some of the threats or principles that the EU and EU member states claim to uphold and have claimed publicly to uphold in their foreign policy.
Real quickly, this isn't Russia's first time deploying troops to an African hotspot. How is Moscow trying to boost its influence on the continent?
Well, the Russian government has certainly increased its ties, soft power, as well as military support in various parts of the continent, especially in the last several years. There's also been an increase in meetings and high-level conferences between Russia and African leaders. So I think this is part of a strategy to expand influence and to expand Russia's presence, whether economically or in terms of military cooperation and things like arms sales. But this isn't necessarily part of one grand strategy, but there's also a kind of ad hoc process at work whereby the Russian government, but also Russian corporations, private companies like the Wagner Group and others, attempt to seize opportunities as they arrive. So it's a mixture of different things that are happening right now, not just with the Russian government, but with Russian private actors as well on the continent.
All right, Mr. Lebovich, thank you very much for your time and your analysis. We have to leave it there. Andrew Lebovich from the European Council on Foreign Relations.